Hello eye-tracking community, my name is Michael, and in this tutorial we will talk about the differences between the concept of markings and labels in Blickshift Analytics. On the screen we can see the end of the previous tutorial. If you want to watch first this previous tutorial about markings, please have a look at this video. In the tutorial about the concept of markings, we have created 3 markings to describe 3 steps during getting some information from a bar chart. The first marking was to describe the reading process or the searching process of the label on the x-axis. The second marking to focus on the bar peak. And finally here the largest marking was to describe the alternating eye movements between the bar peak and the y-axis. In Blickshift Analytics you can find these 3 different markings here in the markings column on the bottom of the screen. Markings is one concept to select some data in Blickshift Analytics, and it's a great tool to focus your analysis only on this one specific section. So for example, you can go here with the mouse on the finding corresponding value on y-axis marking, do a right click and then say analyses gaze statistics. And then the gaze statistics component is calculating the gaze stats only for this one marking here. In Blickshift Analytics, there's a second tool for selecting data, and this is called the label component. If you want to watch at first a tutorial about how to label data, please have a look at this video. So to compare now the concept of markings with labels, let's label the data. I already created a workflow for us for the labeling. So the data comes here from the data source called Visual Elements, goes to the labeling component, and then from here to the 3 visualizations which you can see here on the top of the screen. I created 3 labels, and these labels have the same identifier like our markings here. So let's do now the same. I go to the beginning of the experiment, I click the mouse button and I hold the mouse button down and I'm moving the mouse cursor along the time axis. And in the scan path you can see the eye movements. So this is now the section searching for label on the x-axis. And now once we created the first label, we can see that here in the message box, we can go to the bar graph and here we can change from the stimulus column to the label column. So I created a label with the name searching for, let's go here to the labeling component, there we can see it completely searching for labels on the x-axis. So let's continue. I continue here until there and I say this is focus on bar peak, and the rest is now like in the marking case finding corresponding value on the y-axis. So the result looks very similar. Here are the labels, here are the markings. But there's one main difference between the concept of markings and labels in Blickshift Analytics. And we can find this difference if we click here on the Zoom into View Data link in the labeling component. Now we zoomed in on the level of single data lines. And when I scroll up here now and then scroll here to the most right of the data column, what we can see is that the labeling component added another column to the data model. And this new column with the name label column contains now the different labels which we created here on the right side in the panel. So let's scroll down here. We have searching for label on the x-axis, and then here it changed to focus on bar peak, and then here finding corresponding value on y-axis, and here we can see the visualization of this column. And this is the most important difference between the concept of markings and labels. Markings are some kind of a bookmark or an overlay on your data. So they do not change the data model itself. They only select some sections for you, and you can do some great things with these markings, like for example creating a case statistics or analyzing these different sections in more detail with all the great tools in our software. Or you can create visualizations only based on this section of the data. If you want to do a similar analysis with labels, you have to use the value search. And if you want to learn more about the value search, you can have a look at this tutorial. As I said, the main difference is markings are some kind of overlay and labels change the data model itself. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, please press the like button, subscribe to our channel, activate the bell so that you'll never miss a new video on this channel. And I am looking forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.